Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to be talking about keyboard accessibility, and I'm going to be using the Web 2.0 to quiznectic as an example. Quiznectic is a Web 2.0 tool that allows you to play interactive games with your students. Instead of students just seeing a question, they would see a digital game board where they would see themselves move from space to space as they answer questions. Similar to the old school game boards we used to use as children, except in this case, instead of a physical board, the board is digital. For keyboard accessibility to be a good function, all aspects of a Web 2.0 tool must be keyboard accessible. This means that every aspect of the Web 2.0 tool must be used with a keyboard. Not everybody can use a mouse or a stylus or even their fingers to navigate content, so it's very important that Web 2.0 tools are also keyboard accessible. You're looking at the web page of quiznectic. If I use my tab button, I can see that it moves to the word quiznectic. If I continue to use my tab button, I can see that it goes to how it works, features. I can now see that the word join a game has been highlighted, register, and sign in. So far so good. Everything is working with a keyboard. But let's see what happens when I go into the actual game. I'm going to push my enter button on my keyboard. And this takes me to the interface screen on this. Now the game has already signed me in because it remembered me from a previous login. And it takes me to the game interface. Again, just using just my keyboard, and I use the tab button. I can see that it takes me to the word quiznectic. What's next? Questions, notifications, my name, the game manager, active games. Now what I am doing, I am just using the tab button on my keyboard. Question bank, make a game. So far so good. Everything seems to be working with a keyboard. Let me see what happens when I actually go to make a game. I'm going to push my enter button on my keyboard. And when I do that, it takes me to the game interface page. It remembers me from a previous time, so it's asking me, do I want to delete or restore my session? Using only my tab button, I'm going to click on my tab button, and I can see that the word delete has been highlighted. I can push my enter button, and it makes me go into the game interface. Still so far so good. I can move things around with a keyboard. Let's see what happens. If I move my tab button, I can go, and I can see that it goes to quiznectic. Everyone, save a game, game board. Let's see what happens when I go to questions. If I push my enter button on questions, I can see that it takes me to the question screen. Fabulous! That means I can move my mouse. I can decide how many points a person would get, what my actual question would be. Continuing to use just my tab button. It skips over the add an image button, but it does allow me to go to an add a YouTube page. If I continue, I can pick what kind of question I want, multiple choice or something else. And if I continue, I can actually type in my answers for my question. Okay, great. So far, so good. But remember, I said this was a Web 2.0 tool that allows me to make a game board. So I have my questions, but what happens when I want to actually make my game board? Let's find out. So now I'm on the part of the tool that allows me to make my game board. I can see the word game board using just my tab button. I can see that it brings me down to something that says tutorial, tested, and clear. If I continue to touch my tab button, I can see it takes me to the title of my board. I can type in the description, continue to use my tab button. I can decide how many spaces to move. Again, how many spaces I want to go backwards. If I move my tab button again, it doesn't let me click on choose a background image. It does let me click on clone a game, add a space, and a space size. So it lets me do those aspects. But if you look at the interface, it clearly says click and add the space button to add a space to the game. So this particular aspect of this Web 2.0 tool is only click and drag. I have to drag the spaces to make a game board. Well, if I'm using a keyboard to create a game, I can't do this aspect of the game. So no matter how many questions I've added to my game, no matter what I've done to it, I can't add the board to this, which means I can't use this tool if I'm using just a keyboard. I've gone and made my questions, and now I can't do anything with them. So When you're looking at Web 2.0 tools, make sure that every aspect can actually work with a keyboard.